Today, folks, 'twas the night before trading, and all through the floor, not a trader was stirring, not even a roar. The screens were all dimmed with no buys or sells made as the market was closed for the holiday trade. The stocks were all nestled in their quotes so fine. Google was resting with gains so divine. Palantir was dreaming of data so bright, while Aduro was hoping for a bullish sight. The traders were all snug in their beds so warm, visions of profits dancing in their holiday form. The chartists were all dreaming of trends into breaks, as the market's silence was all that it would make. When out of the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew in a flash and threw open the shutters to see the markets dash. Rockets to the moon against stars that shine so bright, as I glazed at the screens with traders' delight. The prices were moving in holiday cheer. As the market's magic, I basically brought joy and brought fear, but I heard a voice, a jolly soul, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a bull's roar. It was Santa Claus with his bag of full cheer, bringing joy to the traders and hope to the year. He spoke of Google's innovations and Palantir's might, and Aduro's potential for a bullish sight. He spoke of traders and their holiday cheer, and the joy that the market brings to all those who hold dear. And I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a bullish night. Well, that's right, folks. We are still in a buy the dip market. This opportunity never seems to persist, as so many of us in our chat group really thought that it was going to be a flat line into the end of the year. But here we are after the Fed changed their guidance on interest rate cuts, a mild, correction followed by almost all-time highs on a half day of trading, because obviously it's Christmas Eve. I hope you guys are going to be spending some time with your family as you look at your bloated accounts, because we've all done far too well this year. We've all had probably endlessly great trades. I haven't lost money, I think, on anything I've really invested in this year, including the Tesla trade and so much more. But let's break this down by the stocks themselves, because, I mean, we've seen Palantir and Google and Meta, like some of these stocks have gone up anywhere from 70 to 100% to hundreds of percents. And I want to see what their, shareholder return look like, including to the CEOs themselves. I think you'll be shocked to find out how much these CEOs made in 2024, because I promise you, their holidays are hopefully looking pretty rosy for their families, and I hope people are getting some pretty incredible gifts off the back of some of these salaries. We'll kick it off with, first and foremost, Apple returning to shareholders 38% so far this year, which is insane. I mean, this year has just been absolutely unreal, with Tim Apple here receiving $50 million, with 75% of that awarded subject to performance-based basically vesting, but Cook's base salary has been around $3 million per year. A lot of these CEOs get stock-based compensation based off performance of the companies. Microsoft actually only returned 18%, and it's crazy that we're talking about that like it's a bad thing. Like 18% is a very great return, but is actually underperforming even the S&P 500, which is staggering. But basically, Nadella, the CEO, he earned about $79.1 million in total compensation for the fiscal year 2024, which was a 63% increase from 2023. So he's doing better than the old Cook, the old Tim Apple over there. My favorite stock of the year, that only recently became one of my favorites because I only recently started buying it, and now the endless rally that persists, has returned 41% to shareholders, with basically Pichai, Sundar here, making a salary of only $2 million. But don't get disappointed, because again, stock-based compensation. I mean, in 2022 we made $226 million, making him one of the highest paid CEOs in the United States. I'm going to share with you who probably the highest paid CEO of 2024 was, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise. But we can talk about NVIDIA here as well. NVIDIA, making a whopping 192% return for shareholders this year. Absolutely staggering, with Jensen here making compensation of $34.1 million, which includes a variety of different compensation packages. But basically, apparently, according to the S&P Capital IQ, his total received compensation was $288 million. Woo, baby, putting him up there with one of the highest earned, but not the highest earned so far this year. We're going to get to that in a second. We got Amazon here, which a lot of people probably still think the CEO of Amazon is Jeff Bezos, but he's moved on. I'm sure he's still got a pretty sizable chunk in this company after his wife probably took also a sizable chunk in that divorce. But again, 52% to shareholders, with the CEO, Andy Jassy, which again, I don't think people hear from that often, received only 1.3 million in compensation, and this was in 2023. I don't know if we have the 2024 numbers exactly, but his total compensation, he realized, was 29.2 in 2023. So I'm sure with the insane returns we've seen so far in 2024, this would probably be higher than that. But basically in 2021, his compensation was 212 million, and something tells me this year it'll probably be somewhere closer to that. And what I find most interesting is the original founder owns stocks like Meta, for example, that return 75% to shareholders. Zuckerberg only bases his salary at $1 per year, but we understand that he's one of the richest people in the world. I mean, he's worth probably almost $50 billion, if not more. I mean, the guy, he's one of the primary shareholders, and he's taken a lot of profit in the past. I think Zuckerberg's wealth comes primarily from his family stake in Meta. The lion's share of his fortune is tied up in the company, which raked in 134 billion in revenue last year, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, he's one of the richest people just because of that, right? So he took profit, I think, a couple years ago, right before the market really tanked in 2022, which he put into like his secret, compound in on Hawaii or whatever. Tesla's also an interesting one when you look at these original founder-owned stocks, returning actually more than Meta did, which is quite a surprise for the lackluster revenue growth. But this is a hype beast, and the markets are true fugazi stocks. Do not just trade off fundamentals, so never take past performance into future returns, and definitely never take true fundamentals as a pure place of value to a company, right? But if we take a look, Elon Musk, we know now is worth something like $447 billion, not purely fueled by Tesla, but his stake in SpaceX and a variety of other companies. But again, this guy only takes a salary. He doesn't take a salary at all. He only takes a stock-based compensation based off performance, which is insane of what that's led to, which really just shows you if you can find early companies or get into companies and just become a primary stakeholder and ride that wicked volatile ride. If you can handle and stomach that, that's the only way you're going to become worth billions. I mean, it's the true defining factor of either starting a business or being an early shareholder, which most people cannot stomach that risk, right? They'd rather buy these companies when they're a bit more matured, but these CEO founders really led to absolutely insane returns, which leads to, I want to talk about two very interesting stories. We'll talk about Palantir really quick, and then I want to talk about Warren Buffett, because I think there's a more humble story to finish off the absolute absurd greed that we're taking a look at here. But Palantir, has returned 402% to shareholders this year, off the back of that really wicked crash. And now we're just absolutely vertical lining this company to a wicked 200 billion in value and a 421 price to earnings multiple. I mean, if you take a look, the CEO actually became ungodly rich this year. I think he was probably one of the highest paid CEOs in America, because apparently he sold close to 40 million shares for a total of 1.9 billion. Over the last 3 months alone, according to Forbes. This could be a sign that the insiders also believe the stock is fully priced, and this could also put pressure on the stock. It's what a lot of people predicted, but again, hype, momentum, can really take over stock values, and that's not saying that Palantir can't show absolutely incredible growth to try and justify some of this, but it'll be very intriguing to see what these companies look like going into 2025 on the back of us just waiting to see what earnings can potentially do to sway these companies in either direction, right? But one of the most interesting stories and humbling stories, and I think it's a good one to finish up on, is Berkshire Hathaway, the OG, the myth, the legend himself, Warren Buffett, as we saw, the unfortunate passing over time of Charlie Munger, and as, Berkshire takes a whole new shift and literally takes on a new, basically new managers. But this company returned 25.9%, better than Microsoft did this year. And it was on the back of Warren Buffett primarily selling. But what I think is humbling is that Buffett really only takes, $100 or $100,000 in salary. And that's all he's done for like more than 35 years. And I just like how humbling, Buffett's life truly has been. And it's always really been about the investing and the business and, the passion behind that I think so many of us actually have, where, even if we were to make millions in the market, a lot of us actually became millionaires this year. And I really want to applaud anybody that was able to build their account to, even 10,000, those that were just starting, to those that hit their first 100K, to those that hit their first million, like myself. A lot of people in our chat group are hovering around that $1 million mark this year. And so many of you that are going so far beyond that it's the passion, it is the drive for that financial independence, that, self-reliance, buying back our own time, but doing it in a place of passion. Because so many of us come to these channels every day and we watch all these people, and we're all doing this out of the passion and the community that's building, right? So I think that's where I'm going to finish this off, after just looking at just the most ungodly amount of money heading into the holidays. But, the malls have been packed, things have been crazy. I don't know what's happening this year, but I don't think anything has felt more like Christmas than this year has. I'm just saying, I don't know what happened to the malls, but it's like Boxing Day every day for the last 4 or 5 days. We haven't been able to even find parking over there. But I'd love to know what you think, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas.